book called Man Enough first, and that was a book for adult men. But the thing about...
Thank you, Brandon. I have to say, I really love the movie. It's incredible, and I genuinely appreciate the opportunity to be part of this conversation. It's honestly kind of surreal when you stop and think about it. Every day, the husband gets to sit down and interview his wife's love interest in a film, which is such a strange and almost unbelievable dynamic. I don't even remember seeing this on the schedule, and yet here we are, diving into it like it's perfectly normal, which it obviously isn't. And speaking of the film, I noticed you posing in that photo with Mrs. Reynolds, and I have to ask, what do you even call her? Do you have some sort of nickname or an inside joke between you two, or is it just Mrs. Reynolds, formal and straightforward? That alone feels like a small window into a really unusual situation. And then, on top of that, there's this text from Blake Lively, which, honestly, is absolutely insane. If you knew me in person for any length of time, you'd understand the level of flirty, playful energy that I bring to these interactions. It's part of my personality, my way of connecting with people, my love language even. It's all spicy, bold, and teasing, but never cruel, never hurtful, and always meant to be lighthearted. And yet, reading Blake's text, I was completely blown away. I mean, I had no idea what to make of it at first. I kept rereading it, trying to figure out if I was missing some kind of joke or hidden meaning, and I honestly felt a little shaken by it. It's the kind of text that makes you pause and wonder, wait, is this real? Is this playful? Or is there something more going on here? It's that combination of surprising, bold, and confusing all at once. I was taken aback in a way that I wasn't expecting, and it left me feeling a little disoriented, to be completely honest. And yes, it's weird. There's no other way to describe it. It's strange. It's unusual. It's something that doesn't fit into any normal category of conversation. We're dealing with a situation that is just weird, unusual, and frankly, a little wild. And I do want to say, from my end, I owe an apology for how I handled it, or rather, didn't handle it. That's a fail on my part, and I recognize it. I wasn't prepared for something like that, and my reaction probably reflected that. So, yes, it's chaotic, it's unexpected, and it's completely surreal, but I guess that's part of what makes this experience memorable and fascinating. It's all just a lot to take in at once. One thing you should know about me is that I will always admit when I fail and apologize when necessary. I take responsibility for my mistakes, and I don't shy away from owning them, because at the end of the day, that's just who I am. That said, the chaos surrounding the situation is something else entirely. Imagine this. They had the entire wardrobe setup scheduled in Manhattan, ready to go in 15 minutes, perfectly streamlined and organized, and yet she decided, no, I want the entire team to load all of this onto huge trucks and bring it to my apartment, disregarding the considerable time, effort, and expense of all these professionals who had meticulously prepared for hours. And it wasn't even about genius or creative necessity. It was about control, about asserting power in a way that disrupted everyone involved. Then last weekend, 3 important women in Justin Baldoni's life publicly spoke out, making strong statements about his character. Statements that revealed layers of loyalty, truth, and first-hand insight into the man behind the headlines. This matters because historically, we've seen how situations like this can spiral out of control, whether it's with figures like Harvey Weinstein or Matt Lauer, men whose reputations were dismantled by scandals and public opinion, sometimes regardless of context. In contrast, it seems that Blake Lively's plan, whatever her intentions were, has completely backfired. Reports suggest that her case against Justin Baldoni has crumbled in court after his legal team revealed shocking evidence, receipts that allegedly paint a very different picture. That Blake, not Justin, was the one stepping out of bounds in her personal life. Insiders claim that this entire drama was orchestrated as a desperate attempt to protect a failing marriage, and that Ryan Reynolds himself was a driving force behind the lawsuit, advising on PR strategy and public messaging to smear Justin. The kicker, however, is that most of the accusations now appear to have little relevance to the case itself and, in some instances, are being dismissed entirely as falsehoods. Amid this whirlwind, I find myself thinking about the strange, surreal nature of Hollywood, where public image and narrative control often outweigh facts. Today, I'm just getting into the makeup, setting myself up for the camera, and letting it all unfold. These moments, chaotic and awkward, are just part of being in this world. And yet, despite all the noise, they won. The production wrapped, the cameras cut. But behind the scenes, the questions remain. Was Blake secretly stepping out on Ryan, and are there cracks forming in their marriage? Let's unpack that because, as anyone following the story knows, the layers are endless. Standing in the presence of someone like her feels like standing before a queen, Daenerys Stormborn, House Targaryen, rightful heir to the Iron Throne, protector of the Seven Kingdoms, mother of dragons, Khaleesi of the Great Khalasar, and yet real life, messy and imperfect, intrudes upon even the grandest mythology. I was lucky enough to be involved in so many aspects of this movie, not just on screen, where my role was arguably the smallest part of my contribution. Off screen, I was deeply involved in logistics, planning, coordination, yet none of that prepares you for navigating the human drama that comes with fame, relationships, and artistic collaboration. And to be honest, I have no real feelings toward Justin Baldoni personally. I've seen some of his social media, and to be frank, his posts often lean into performative masculinity and lamentations that feel outdated or even ridiculous. But that's a style, and that's fine. My point is simply that, reading through Blake's incendiary complaints and the PR-driven narratives, there's very little concrete evidence, very little that stands up to scrutiny. Much of it feels like supposition, rumor, and conjecture, lacking the kind of verified proof you'd expect if someone were truly trying to expose wrongdoing. Despite the chaos, the battle between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively has become almost theatrical, a weeks-long back and forth to see who can expose the other first. So far, Justin appears to be ahead. He recently released a 6-minute voice note he had once sent to Blake during the film's production, a personal, candid glimpse into what was actually happening behind the scenes. While it doesn't fully overturn a narrative, it adds context that shifts the perception, highlighting discrepancies between public statements and private actions. Meanwhile, speculation swirls about Blake developing feelings for Justin, which he allegedly did not reciprocate, leaving her in a vulnerable and awkward situation that has become public fodder. Sources suggest she is deeply humiliated by the entire ordeal, while Ryan Reynolds reportedly feels a combination of fury and betrayal, desperate for answers as he grapples with the possibility that his wife may have been emotionally entangled with a co-star. This tangled web of emotions, legal maneuvers, media spin, and interpersonal drama is exactly the kind of high-stakes chaos you might expect when personal and professional lives collide in Hollywood, and it shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. Insiders claim that the simmering tension is what truly ignited the chaos. But to understand how it all escalated, it's worth recapping for anyone unfamiliar with the origins of the saga. The drama officially erupted on December 20th, 2024, when Blake Lively filed an 80-page lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, Wayfair Studios. The company behind it ends with us, as well as his publicist Jamie Heath and executive Steve Sawitz. In her filing, she accused them of breaching her contract, creating a hostile work environment, and even orchestrating a smear campaign designed to ruin her reputation. The very next day, the New York Times published a scathing expose titled, "We Can Bury Anyone Inside a Hollywood Smear Machine," which painted Justin and his team as aggressors, portraying Blake as unstable and effectively silencing her voice about her experiences during production. It was a dramatic, high-profile narrative that immediately captured public attention. I have to say, from my perspective being involved in so many aspects of this film, not just on screen, gave me a unique insight into the layers of effort and emotion that went into it. On screen was actually the smallest part of my contribution. Beyond acting, I poured pieces of my life into this project. My relationships with my mother, my sisters, my children, even my own emotions, all woven into film in ways that nobody will ever fully know or that I would ever publicly disclose. Yet, when I sit in the theater with my loved ones, I see fragments of our lives reflected on the screen. Moments we shared, things we said to each other, memories that resonate in a way that makes this project feel intensely personal. That's part of why I feel so proud of it, even amidst the chaos that has surrounded production. But Justin Baldoni wasn't going to let this narrative go unchallenged. He fired back with a staggering $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times, claiming that the outlet had published Blake's one-sided story without properly verifying the facts. According to him, The article mirrored Blake's allegations almost word for word, intentionally omitting evidence that painted a very different picture. He came armed with receipts, asserting that Blake and the Times had twisted text messages and emails, cropping out emojis and entire sections of conversations to craft a narrative that made him appear guilty. Still, the Times stood by their reporting, insisting it was accurate and thoroughly researched. Meanwhile, Blake reportedly had not even read the book on which the movie was based, a shocking detail considering the centrality of the source material to film. Beyond that, she insisted on redoing wardrobe choices, wanting characters meant to portray women suffering from domestic abuse to appear as though they had money, dressing in florals while also promoting her liquor line and hair care brand on press tours. Critics argued this disconnect between character and celebrity contributed to negative press, with clips circulating of Blake appearing insensitive or out of touch, a situation for which she ultimately bore responsibility. Public appearances, after all, are part of the promotional pay package. You show up, you smile, and you answer questions gracefully, even when they're difficult or uncomfortable. Justin, however, didn't stop at the Times. He escalated, targeting Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds directly with a massive $400 million countersuit alleging defamation and extortion. According to Justin, Blake fabricated stories to shift blame onto him once negative press began circulating, and both Blake and Ryan hijacked the film's production and marketing, weaponizing the media to spread damaging falsehoods about him and his team. Insiders suggest that Ryan Reynolds was the real mastermind behind the scenes, orchestrating the narrative to ensure Justin would be cast as a villain in Blake's high-profile lawsuit, manipulating the press and public perception with precision. What began as workplace tension and creative disputes has escalated into a multi-front media war, a legal battle, and a personal drama of epic proportions, leaving everyone involved under intense scrutiny while the story continues to unfold in real time. The interview that Ryan Reynolds took over for It Ends With Us is already wild enough on its own. After all, it's not every day that the husband gets to interview his wife's love interest in a film. That alone is a setup for chaos, and it's kind of surreal when you think about it. I honestly don't remember seeing this on the schedule, but here we are, and it begs the question, what exactly was going on behind the scenes? So, diving in, I noticed a photo of Justin posing with Mrs. Reynolds, and I couldn't help but wonder, what do you even call her? Do they have a nickname? Or is it just a formal Mrs. Reynolds? The image itself seemed innocuous at first, almost like a joke or an attempt at lightheartedness. But with everything that's come out since, some people are now speculating that perhaps Justin was attempting to hijack the movie entirely, from production to the marketing. The narrative is getting even more tangled with people like Candace Owens posting on her Instagram story, claiming that Ryan Reynolds might actually be the true villain of the saga, allegedly based on insider information from someone who worked on the set. And if even a fraction of that is true, it raises huge questions about accountability and what could happen when a simple favor 2 releases with these tensions still lingering. To make things even more complicated, Blake resurfaced a text from August 2024, allegedly showing that Justin had told his publicist that his business partner, Steve Sowitz, wanted to shift the narrative in a way that made Ryan appear tied to the script in a manner that could be interpreted as anti-feminist. On top of that, Blake reportedly demanded that the costume department pack up the entire wardrobe and deliver it to her personal residence, even though her home was just 15 minutes from the original setup in Manhattan. 15 minutes. Instead of allowing the team to work efficiently on-site, she allegedly insisted, "No, I want the entire team to load all of this onto huge trucks and bring it to my apartment." Requests that not only created considerable extra work and expense of professionals involved, but also, as insiders put it, was outright rude. And this wasn't just one clothing rack. It was 8 to 10 racks of meticulously curated wardrobe pieces, sourced by the stylist for fittings. The scale of the request was so extreme that most would assume it would have had to be explicitly outlined in a contract from the very beginning for the team to comply. And the irony of it all is that Blake was also a producer, someone who should have been focused on making the film more efficient and helping it stay on budget. Yet her actions made the production more complicated and costly. Meanwhile, Justin's team managed to turn the tide by releasing a 6-minute voice recording of a conversation between him and Blake at around 2 a.m. Initially, it sounded like a simple, almost casual apology for dismissing her script ideas, but as the conversation unfolded, it became clear that there were far deeper layers of tension, frustration, and unspoken dynamics at play. Beneath the surface of that recording lies a complexity of creative disagreements, personal egos, and the kind of high-pressure environment that can turn collaboration into conflict. Every word, every tone, every pause seemed loaded with meaning, hinting at a backstory that the public has only begun to glimpse, and setting the stage for what has become an incredibly tangled saga of Hollywood power plays, interpersonal drama, and media-fueled narratives that show no signs of slowing down. Hey, Blake, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Hopefully, this doesn't wake you up. Wow, there's so much I want to say to you, and I hope we can FaceTime or meet in person soon to really talk things through. But for now, I'm just going to send a few thoughts, and hopefully, it won't take more than a few minutes. Admittedly, neither of us has the best track record with voice memos. So here goes. First, I want to start with an apology. Reading the second part of your message, my heart sank. I am truly sorry. I know I fell short, and I know you worked incredibly hard on this. The way you framed your concerns, how it made you feel. I just want to thank you for being honest and vulnerable, for sharing that with me. That kind of trust is not lost on me. But to rewind for context, Justin's voice note didn't come out of nowhere. He recorded it right after Blake allegedly threatened to unleash her biggest weapons, naming her husband, Ryan Reynolds, and her best friend, Taylor Swift. To drive the point home, Blake reportedly compared herself to Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones. If you know the show, you know that comparison isn't subtle at all. Daenerys dragons are literally capable of burning enemies to the ground. In text messages cited in the lawsuit, Blake allegedly described herself as a Khaleesi, the fiercest female character in recent pop culture, claiming that her dragons, Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds, were powerful allies ready to protect her. While on the surface, she framed it as having great storytellers to help rewrite the script. Many interpreted it as a veiled threat. Comply with my demands or face the consequences. The implication felt crystal clear. Blake may not have said outright, but anyone reading between the lines could see that she had the influence and the connections to make Justin regret crossing her. And that's exactly why Justin later recorded his infamous late-night voice note around 2 a.m. At first, it sounds casual, almost lighthearted, an apology for disturbing her, a suggestion that they FaceTime or meet in person to properly discuss things, and a joke about their mutual failure to keep voice memos brief. But beneath the humor lies the real heart of the message. Justin admitted he felt terrible after reading Blake's message. He acknowledged that he had let her down, that he hadn't treated her input with the seriousness it deserved, despite recognizing the effort and thought she had poured into her work. He closed by thanking her for being open and vulnerable, noting that sharing her feelings was a powerful act of trust, one he deeply respected. Justin's words also revealed something fundamental about his character. One thing he makes crystal clear is that he will admit and apologize when he fails. He is far from perfect, openly acknowledging that he is a flawed man, that he will inevitably say the wrong thing, put his foot in his mouth, or piss people off. But he is committed to making things right, to finding his way back to center. That combination of humility, accountability, and raw honesty stands in stark contrast to the high-stakes posturing and media warfare swirling around this entire saga. It's a late-night, personal moment captured amid a public storm, a window into the complexity of human relationships, power dynamics, and the personal cost of creative collaboration in Hollywood. One thing about Justin Baldoni that really stands out is that he didn't try to sugarcoat anything. He fully admitted his mistakes, owning up to them in a way that most people in Hollywood wouldn't dare. He acknowledged that he's far from perfect, a fact his wife could easily confirm. He confessed that he sometimes says the wrong things, messes up, and probably upsets people more often than he should. Yet despite all of that, he promised that no matter what, he would always apologize, take responsibility, and do his best to make amends. That sense of accountability was clear in every word he spoke, and it immediately set him apart from the spectacle of public accusations and media spin surrounding the film. At the same time, there was a general sense among the cast and crew that the marketing of the film had gone off the rails. Many agreed that it came across as cringeworthy at times, particularly when Blake appeared in videos being sarcastic or dismissive toward reporters. One clip showed her responding to a question about how fans had connected with her character with a sarcastic comment, asking if she should share a location, or something similar. The snark and tone did not come across well on camera, and critics quickly pounced. While some tried to blame a bad edit or a targeted smear campaign, the clips were largely genuine, and Blake's own behavior in them contributed to the negative perception. On top of that, she used the film as a platform to promote her hair care line and her alcohol brand, Betty Buzz, which many felt clashed with the serious subject matter of domestic violence at the core of the movie. The focus felt very much on her personal branding and vision, rather than the story or the sensitive topics the film addressed. Despite all this, Justin consistently spoke positively about Blake's friends and collaborators. He praised their support for her, noting that if they made her feel safe and backed, then they were clearly remarkable and she was fortunate to have them. He also lauded the creative energy she shared with those friends, admitting that he was genuinely impressed by the synergy between them. And yes, in Hollywood, having friends like that, talented, loyal, and inspiring, is a rarity, and it clearly mattered to him. What stood out most in Justin's words, though, was how often he took personal responsibility. He apologized to Blake for any hurt he caused, even though technically he didn't have to. As a director, he wasn't obligated to follow an actress's script suggestions. Yet he did it anyway, showing a level of professionalism and respect that seemed to go beyond what most people might expect in a power imbalance environment. At the same time, he repeatedly highlighted their chemistry and their collaborative work, almost as if he were reminding himself to remain professional while also expressing genuine excitement about working with her. He carefully navigated every line, making sure not to cross boundaries, while his enthusiasm for the project and for spending time with Blake was evident in every phrase. At one point in his message, he said, "It's really good, and it's going to make the movie sing like you said. I'm excited to go through the whole movie with you." It wasn't just about the film itself. It was about the process, the collaboration, and the connection they shared as creative partners. And underneath it all, the human element shone through. He was genuinely excited to spend time with her, to create something meaningful together, while maintaining professionalism and integrity, a rare combination in a Hollywood environment that so often favors ego and spectacle over honesty and accountability. Justin Baldoni made it abundantly clear that he was excited to be in Blake's creative sphere, to share energy and ideas with her, even if he awkwardly admitted that sharing creative juices sounded terrible. Behind the scenes, however, many began suspecting that Justin and Blake's connection went far beyond a typical co-worker relationship. While it might not have escalated into a full-blown affair, there appeared to be an emotional depth and intensity that suggested something was happening beyond professional collaboration. The leading theory circulating online is that Blake developed strong feelings for Justin, and when Ryan Reynolds allegedly discovered the truth, she panicked and redirected the blame onto Justin to protect herself, a dynamic that would explain why some of her accusations fell apart under scrutiny. One example is Blake's claim that Justin and his publicist Jamie Heath invaded her privacy by entering her makeup trailer without permission, even when she was breastfeeding her baby. In his countersuit, Justin flatly rejected that allegation, stating that Blake herself had invited him in and that all visits were strictly professional, designed to run through lines for the movie. When the facts came out, her version of events appeared far less convincing. He even released the actual text exchanges, showing messages like, "I'm breastfeeding in my trailer, come on over," which reframed her previous accusations and undermined claims of harassment. Additionally, Justin's team shared evidence of him offering Blake kind words and support after she and her baby were unwell, assuring her he would do whatever he could to make their work easier. In response, Blake wrote, "Just pumping in my trailer if you want to work out our lines," to which Justin replied, "Copy, eating with K. We head that way," demonstrating a professional, cooperative relationship rather than predatory behavior. Despite this, Blake made much more serious allegations, claiming Justin went off script in ways that made her uncomfortable, brought up past relationships, and improvised scenes of physical intimacy that allegedly had no choreography or intimacy coordinator present. She alleged repeated takes and boundary pushing during scenes, including biting and sucking her lower lip, which Justin strongly denied. In response, he argued that Blake had refused to work with the intimacy coordinator for certain scenes, meaning he sometimes had to meet with the coordinator alone and relay information back to her. He also pointed out that rehearsing intimate moments without a coordinator present was sometimes necessary to develop the characters naturally, and any playful banter or joking between them was mischaracterized of the scene, which offered a dramatically different perspective. In the video, Justin's comment came immediately after Blake herself had made a playful remark about her tan body rubbing off on him, rather than appearing predatory. The interaction looked like mutual flirting, playful teasing, and joking, hardly the kind of misconduct Blake described in her complaint. In fact, the text messages and behind-the-scenes footage suggest that Blake's characterization of the scene was exaggerated, and that any discomfort may have been part of the normal give and take of collaborative, intimate filming. Adding to the complexity, Blake herself had sent texts describing her own personality as flirty, playful, and bold. In one message, she wrote, "If you knew me in person longer, you get a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play. It's my love language. Spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth." Reactions to this text range from shocked to bewildered, with many struggling to interpret whether it was joking, teasing, or an implicit threat. The tension between perception and reality created a scenario that left everyone, including Justin, feeling unsettled and unsure how to navigate the drama. This is where things get complicated. Some believe the footage and text demonstrate that Blake exaggerated her claims, while others argue Justin could be gaslighting her. In the slow dance scene, Blake repeatedly tells Justin that they need to talk. Yet the video appears to show Justin leaning in and nudging for playful closeness, not malicious intent. Many viewers read the interaction as mutual teasing and consensual joking rather than harassment. Yet public perception remains divided, especially with Blake and Ryan's persistent efforts to position Justin as the antagonist in the unfolding narrative. Amid all this, Justin's voice notes, texts, and professional demeanor highlight a man attempting to balance accountability, professionalism, and creative collaboration while navigating the murky waters of Hollywood relationships, media scrutiny, and personal drama all at once. Things had to get shut down eventually. The team had to call in insurance, deal with logistical headaches, and, lightheartedly, deal with Blake's big nose. Just kidding. On set, moments that the media later painted as harassment were, in context, playful interactions for the camera. One clip shows Justin putting his head near Blake's neck while joking about body makeup, followed by a comment of "smells good," which he clarifies as referencing her makeup. It was clearly an attempt to act out intimacy for the film, capturing a believable scene of two people dancing, rather than any predatory behavior. Yet, after Justin's team released behind-the-scenes footage in his late-night voice memo, Blake and Ryan quickly filed a gag order against him and his attorney, Brian Fredman. Neither Justin nor his lawyer publicly commented, but sources close to him called the move grossly unfair, especially after New York Times coverage, which Justin claims caused him to lose 3 jobs and hundreds of millions in potential earnings. The gag order effectively silenced Justin, preventing him from speaking to press or sharing details about the case. To many observers, the timing was suspicious. If Blake and Ryan were confident in their position, why try to prevent Justin from speaking? To skeptics, it looked more like a tactic to control the narrative than a pursuit of justice. Adding to the controversy, Blake reportedly didn't even read the book the movie was based on. Not exactly a dense classic like War and Peace, but still significant.